Second day of Cheltenham, Queen Mother Champion Chase Day. We'll get to that. Starting us off, of course, is the Neptune, one of my favourite races of the whole week. And in this, I have one of the most impressive novices I've seen for quite a few years. It's Orton. I put him up at the start of the year as a horse to follow, and I see no reason to get off that bandwagon now. He basically has been umming and ahhing over which race to run him in, but they've landed in this race, and it is the most prestigious for him, rather than the Albert Bartlett on the Friday. He pulls hard, this horse, and his jumping's been a ride, but he's going to have Ruby Walsh back on him, and he's an absolute monster. No problems with the ground whatsoever. So unlike some of these big Irish horses that come over and find it happening all too quickly, that's not going to be the case with Orton. He is definitely the best horse in the race. Let's just hope he acts on the day. Following on from the Neptune, then it's the RSA, the Royal Sun Alliance Chase. Some powerhouses, juggernauts have won this over the years. Really open division, muddy waters, hasn't it been, basically? And I don't really like Ballycasey, the favourite for Willie Mullins. I think there's some juice in taking him on with Morning Assembly. Didn't see the best of him when he was beaten by Carlingford Loft, who reopposes under McCoy. Experienced horse that at Leopardstown over Christmas. The only slight doubt with him is the fact he hasn't run since, but the fact he's coming into it fresh is a big thing for him. That's not so good for Smad Place, who had a tough race really on heavy ground at Newbury last time. While I think he's probably the best of the English, he is a decent, in fact he's a cracking animal when mad fresh. Not the case here. Maybe each way, Many Clouds has got a chance. Again, in the Reynoldsdown at Ascot last time, didn't see the best of him. So there's two for you in the RSA. Morning Assembly to beat Many Clouds. Moving on, the Coral Cup, a real minefield here, but I'm going to go for one that's been laid out for it all season. He got a little sighter in at the track back in November, and that's the Irish-trained Bayan. And he's basically trained by Gordon Elliott, who won this in 2011 with Carlito Brigante. He's on a really tasty mark. This is the horse that beat him that's probably going to reoppose, Sametagal. That was back in November. He's off a much higher mark now, and he's been dropped actually for that run, Bayan. Handicap wise, if he can just sigh through the pack. He worked at Leopardstown the other day, worked really, really well. Bayan in the Coral Cup. Feature race of the day, the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and the story of the season, this, isn't it? No Sprinter Sacra. And basically, in his absence, Sire de Gru has been mopping up, and so impressive he was at Ascot last time out, where he laid any problems about the stiff finish. I don't necessarily buy into the fact that he's not at his best around Cheltenham, but there are mitigating circumstances to think he won't quite beat his peak Ascot performance the last time. Why? He's had a hard season, more to the point. I think this is something like his 5th race. I'm not worried about him going left-handed, as I said, but the quicker ground doesn't make him so impressive, quickens the others up. And there's one horse in here that's a potential fly for him, and he's the each-way play. It's Captain Conan, who, if you go back last season, easily beat Sire de Gru over the course and distance when the ground was half decent. He's obviously got to bounce back from his Tingle Creek run, where he saw the backside of Sire de Gru, but the vibes are very, very strong. And moving on we go to Cross Country Chase. Move now to the second day. One of my favourite races of the week. A great spectacle. Gets all the crowds running down. So if you're going, make sure you go into the centre of the track and watch this. Why? Because there's a big shoe in. That's right, Big Shoe, last year's winner. Warmed up for this with a cracking run at Punchestown over the banks. He was beaten that day by Love Rory. He reopposes, but he's slightly worse off at the weights, and Big Shoe, been here, done it. That was a cracking run. Why? Because he always needs his first run back. You watch it. Paul Carberry on that day, he retains the ride. The uber competitive Fred Winter Handicap for the juveniles. A real plot race this has been. It depends to see who gets in down the bottom, and I'm going to be backing some at the bottom weights, but the big story of this race is me taking on the favourite, the likely favourite, Dawalan, plotted out for this all season by Nicky Henderson. If you'd have told me I'd have been taking him on back in January, I'd have laughed at you. However, his prep run in an all-weather bumper at Kempton showed me a slightly quirky side to the horse. He ran around a bit. He's got a serious engine, but I will expect this horse to be wearing cheek pieces down the line. I don't think they're going to be on this day. So basically, we'll take him on despite his talent. The very final race is the Bumper, one of the most exciting races for unearthing potential stars. Of course, Briar Hill won it last year, one of the big hopes for Willie Mullins. This week, Q Card, you name them. Dungweeb, they're all in there, aren't there? But I think Willie Mullins, despite the fact he's bringing a big team, his favourite at the moment, Black Hercules, a talking horse on the preview nights, is one to be against. I'm worried about quick ground for this horse, and come Wednesday, it certainly could be riding on the far side. I like Mullins' other horse, Shane's Hill, for example, and also Philip Fenton has a horse called Value at Risk. He's exactly that, around about 14 to 1. Fenton, of course, won it with Dungweeb. There's your wrap on the second day.